Well, that one's going to be pretty tough to follow. It was pretty amazing work. And mine's, well, we'll see. Let it roll. Okay. So I started taking self-portraits about 10 years ago when I was in university. Nobody had turned up for the photo shoot. And I'd already loaded the camera and shot a test shot, so I shot this one in a mirror in the life drawing room where I set up. And yeah, I quite liked it, so I thought I'd carry on. And then I took this one, and I was so pleased with this one. I thought I looked great. So I don't even think I got to fix the first one. I rushed out to look at it. I was so impressed with myself. Yeah, didn't really look like that, but I put it out to see what other people thought of it with real international critical feedback. So 7.4 is not bad, I thought, you know. Yeah, I was pretty pleased with that, pretty pleased how that went. So I was kind of hooked. Actually, that photo ended up on quite a few of my profile pictures at the time for social networking. And I forgot about the sites, and I found one about 3 weeks ago. My wife wasn't impressed. I found I was taking better photos when I was hungover. I found I wasn't actually posing so much, so I tended to go on heavy drinking binges when I was a student. That was totally the reason why. So this is an example of that when I was just kind of couldn't be bothered to pose. And this is another shot. I was photographing various parts of my body just to sort of acquaint myself with myself better. Yeah. Some of my co-workers in the audience will be feeling pretty uncomfortable right now. So I haven't been using my card. Oop. Okay, so moving on later, I printed this onto a bed. I was trying to just sort of, I spent a lot of time in bed as a student and trying to sort of example my life and sort of, yeah, it was a really interesting process of tearing the paper away after I sandwiched it to the bed with some paint. That was pretty good. And then this was another series of doing lots of experiments in self-portraiture over the years. This one was called Sometimes I Feel Contempt for the People Around Me. It's pretty hard to see, but it's me in the street with a letter painted on my chest. And generally lots of people staring at me going, what the hell is he doing? And in the gallery, you'll see in a moment, they're all lined up, and the letters spell out, sometimes I feel contempt for the people around me. And it was just pictures of all these people going, look at him, and it's sort of more, it had a very performative action to it, but it was more about the people in the shot than it was about me. So that was that one. And yeah, it was really interesting to take it. Actually, the logistics took about 10 or 15 people working on it, sort of all around, one person painting, another person washing. I also carried on taking sort of elements of my face, got really interested just with the sort of texture of my skin and how my skin was aging over the years. So I was using a 5.4 camera for this. So I was blowing them up really big and just looking at all the pores. It's pretty gross, really. Nobody ever bought one of these. I don't know why. A slight jump on the next one. I'd moved to Japan, and I didn't have all the studio and all the access to all the things that I'd been previously using. And Japanese have these wonderful photo booths called perikara. My wife told me today that people who take photos of themselves alone in a perikara booth are pretty sad. So, yeah, I'm glad she pointed that out now. But, yeah, so I started experimenting with these, and I've never quite come up with, like, a full body of work with these yet, but I'm sure there's an exhibition in there somewhere. I just got to use it. My wife's family's, I found a sort of samurai armor, so I had to try that on and put it on. It was great fun. Looked sort of a bit embarrassed when the neighbours saw me, but so I took photos of myself in that. Oh, it's come out pretty dark on the projector here, but that got me the idea of cosplay, which is another Japanese thing where people dress up. And so I thought I'd dress up in, you know, various traditional Japanese costume. I wasn't very happy with this one. I didn't really look cute, so I had to do something about that. So I was brainstorming different techniques, and I came up with what you'll see in the next image when it comes up. Here we go. So yeah, I'm much happier this time, yeah. So I put my face on the doll's body, and I'd been thinking about two-dimensional and three-dimensional works, and this one was a stand-up in the gallery. And yeah, I produced one first and showed it to people around the studio, and they thought it was pretty weird. And then I was experimenting with other ones I kind of liked. I like this one where I just had that little bit of my identity on the doll. So yeah, and just seeing how little I could put into it and still sort of keep it with a little bit of me in there. So I produced quite a few of these in the end. Yeah. It's kind of a little army of me I had. I love just when everybody had gone out the studio, just playing with them and all my little dollies. Placing them all around. I actually have a collection of the dolls at home. They're only about this big, but still, I get frowned upon for doing it. But yeah, I got back to being a man again, or a robot at least. And half the excuse for this one was buying the kit, because it was really cool. So this was going back to the two-dimensional approach for a later exhibition, sort of coming back to the idea. So this is one example. I kind of pictured it as the salaryman looking all tired, but those robots are a really big symbol in Japan. And I enjoyed sort of the relationship between the robot and the little girl figures as well. Yeah. No idea where I am on the cards now. So, yeah, I had this exhibition last year in the Photo Festival. And this one actually, you may have seen it earlier in John Turner's. It ends up on the cover of Memento magazine's PhotoForum, which I was pretty chuffed with. And a lot of people really like this, which really surprised me. I mean, I'm happy, of course, but yeah. So, yeah, she went through a few different names. And these, for a shameless quote, will be available to view tomorrow evening onwards for 3 weeks in High Tide Gallery on High Street, next to Stella Gregg, I think. So, yeah, that's all my work. Thank you very much.